I've dreamed of playing a Shadow Hunter ever since the Burning Crusade. In the War Within, that dream is finally becoming a reality with the Dark Ranger Hero Spec tree. Hi, it's Llarold, and let's just do a 180 disengage directly at this talent tree because it's really good. The Dark Ranger is a hero spec for Beast Mastery and Marksmanship Hunter. Very notably, it is not for survival, it is a pure range spec, and what's interesting here is it really seems like it's containing a lot of the old stuff from all the way back when I played Hunter like a decade ago that made survival really interesting and cool. It's giving you a lot of spell damage, it's giving you a lot of resets, and I really think it's going to be thematically exactly like what people fantasize about when they think about being Sylvanas. So let's just start with the top talent here, Black Arrow. It's a 30-second cooldown. It doesn't appear to have any sort of resource cost right now, so it's just a free 30-second cooldown. You mash that button on cooldown, and it fires a Black Arrow into your target. If you played Hunter for a long time, you know Black Arrow. It does shadow damage over time, 16 seconds. Ticking every 2 seconds, and every time it deals damage, you have a chance to reset the cooldown of aimed shot or barbed shot. So it's not just direct spell damage, you know, some sort of like damage value skill. It also has a clear rotational component to it where it can give you resets on a major source of damage. Over here on the left-hand side, we have Ranger's Finesse. Aim shot and rapid fire deal 15% increased damage. Barb shot and kill command deal 15% increased damage. More damage. That's all that this is, and you love it, right? Who doesn't love more damage? In the middle, we have Dark Hounds. Each time Black Arrow deals damage, you have a chance to manifest an undead hound to charge your target and deal shadow damage. This is shadowy apparitions. It's just taken straight from Shadow Priest. It's shadowy apparitions. Is it really a problem that there's, you know, that you're stealing shadowy apparitions? Not at all. I think it thematically makes perfect sense to just steal some Shadow Priest stuff directly. I think that completely works. I don't feel bad about that at all. I totally am a fan. In the right-hand side, you have Death Shade. When you apply Black Arrow to a target, you gain the Death Blow or Hunter's Prey effect. Now that's a guaranteed reset on kill shot. Basically, you're allowed to freely cast kill shot. That's what either of those two do, and you get that as soon as you cast Black Arrow, which is pretty nice. So you have not just the occasional random proc resets on aim shot or barbed shot. You don't just have this increased damage on aim shot and rapid fire, barbed shot and kill command, and then the occasional procs. You also have guaranteed kill shot out of Black Arrow. So that kind of creates a 1-2 combo, which is pretty satisfying. Now let's continue down the tree. Over here on the left-hand side, you have a choice node between Dark Empowerment and Grave Reaper. Dark Empowerment makes it so that when you reset the cooldown of an ability with Black Arrow up here at the top, aimed shot or barbed shot getting reset, you also gain some focus. This is really nice. It adds a nice back and forth, a positive flow to that reset. You're not just getting reset and then like spending resource, you're also getting focus back to be able to continue using your skills. Grave Reaper, by comparison, gives you sort of a pity refund when Black Arrow's target dies. If Black Arrow's target dies, the cooldown gets not reset. If it were a full reset, I think this would be a completely acceptable talent. It might be too good depending on what that reset chance is. You know, if this is like a 1% chance and then you're getting a 1% chance on resetting those abilities and getting that focus back, then that's not so great. But I would imagine it's probably quite substantial. 20% seems like a reasonable number. 20% chance on each tick to reset the cooldown of a major rotational skill and give yourself back some focus is pretty dope. And getting sort of a pity, not even quite half the cooldown back, like 40% of the cooldown back if the target dies too early, you know, not great. Ideally, you would just not use Black Arrow on something that's going to die in the next 15 seconds. That's sort of my thinking. I think that's exactly how you would want to approach this. So Grave Reaper comes in a little underwhelming in this choice node here. Embrace the Shadows and Smokescreen are both two really interesting utility options here. Embrace the Shadows makes it so that you heal for 15% of all the shadow damage dealt by you or your pets. So that's not just Black Arrow and all of the other talents in the tree that apply shadow damage, but also the Dark Hounds, which is good. This gives Hunter a steady trickle of self-healing, which is something that they really could use. You know, if you do a lot of Mythic Plus with hunters, you'll notice that they die a lot. And before you get into the dungeon, you'll probably also notice they have huge health pools. They have a lot of health. They just don't really have any way of sustaining. They have a couple of defensive cooldowns. They're kind of long, and then they're basically reliant on the healer to bomb heals into them whenever they have to deal with any mechanics, because all that extra health is really all they have going on. So having some sort of way to sustain their health pool other than like 1% leech or something from enchants is really good. Smokescreen, by comparison, makes it so that exhilaration grants you 3 seconds of survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest activates exhilaration at 50% effectiveness. So you get a little bit of juice either way. You get either some healing when you use a defensive cooldown or a small minor defensive cooldown when you use your healing cooldown. So you get a little bit more availability of your major defensive cooldowns. I think, generally speaking, that the leech is probably not going to be as impactful for dealing with like specific mechanics in raids or specific mechanics in high level pushing Mythic Plus, but for just general play, I gotta think that the constant self-healing from Embrace the Shadows is probably going to be superior. And that is, I mean, for the kind of things that I would be doing on a hunter, I think Embrace the Shadows is definitely speaking to me. Dark Chains is just a bit of crowd control utility, very minor, probably very useful for PvP, but doesn't really seem all that useful for the most part for Mythic Plus or Raid. It just makes it so that when you disengage, it chains the closest target to the ground, causing them to move 40% slower until they've moved 8 yards away. Not a huge bonus by any stretch, just another way to apply slows as a hunter, as though hunters don't already have enough. Intense Darkness on the left-hand side makes it so that when True Shot or Call of the Wild are active, Black Arrow will deal its damage 50% faster. Now, it doesn't indicate that the duration is reduced, so I don't think that there's any sort of negative effect. I think it basically just means that it'll tick every second for that remaining duration, which is huge. I mean, it's basically doubling the damage of a skill that you're kind of building your rotation around, which is pretty good. I guess 50% faster maybe would be more like every 1.5 seconds. So in any case, quite a bit more damage. It's a little bit unclear how this is worded, whether it would be ticking instead of every 2 seconds, every 1.5, or if it would be ticking every 1 second. I guess we'll have to test in the alpha and beta to find out, but that is definitely good extra damage, giving you more cooldown resets on aim shot and barb shot, and then potentially more focus coming back through Dark Empowerment as well. Shadow Surge in the middle here makes it so that when multi-shot hits a target affected by Black Arrow, a burst of shadow energy erupts, dealing moderate shadow damage to all enemies near the target. Now, we don't exactly know what moderate is, but we know that that means free AoE damage whenever you hit multi-shot. Now, instead of just doing a multi-shot's worth of damage, you're also getting that burst of shadow damage, which applies to Embrace the Shadows, which is pretty nice. And over here on the right-hand side, we have our last choice node, Darkness Calls versus Shadow Assassin. Darkness Calls makes it so that all shadow damage you and your pets deal is increased by 10%. So basically this whole entire tree just gets a plus 10% modifier to it, which is pretty good. Shadow Assassin, I think, is a little more interesting. It makes it so that Kill Shot has a 15% chance to generate a charge of aimed shot or barbed shot when used on a target affected by Black Arrow. Now, as we know from Death Shade, we're able to Black Arrow and then immediately hit the target with a kill shot, which means a 15% chance is maybe a little bit low, but if you're doing that in the execute range and you're getting more than one kill shot off on a Black Arrow target, that means you're getting a decent chance of getting back aimed or barbed shots. And, you know, we don't know for sure if that would also synergize with Dark Empowerment, but I think it's reasonable to assume that it would. So if you're getting the synergy of Dark Empowerment going along with Shadow Assassin, and then also that's interplaying with Death Shade, I think this could be a pretty fun, pretty compelling rotational loop where you're Black Arrowing a target, you're kill shotting them, you're getting aim shot or barb shot reset, you're getting that focus back and really bursting out a ton of damage. And that's pretty cool. Doing that on a 30-second window seems very satisfying. And finally, Withering Fire makes it so that when Black Arrow resets the cooldown of aimed shot or barbed shot, a barrage of dark arrows strike your target for shadow damage and increase the damage you and your pets deal by 10% for 6 seconds. So not only are you getting all of this added damage in this tree, all of this extra shadow damage, all of this cooldown resetting and focus restore and so on, you're also getting a bonus damage increase for 10%, which is pretty significant depending on exactly what the reset chance is. But again, if Shadow Assassin also counts as a reset on aimed at barb shot, and it does sort of sound like it should, that would interplay with this as well. You could have potentially pretty high uptime on this damage bonus, which really plays into the idea of this being a big bursty sort of 30-second burst window talent tree, which is really, really cool and really fits into the thematic concept of the Dark Ranger as a hunter that deals a lot of magic damage and deals these really massive bursts of magic damage on a relatively short window. And then there's some pretty good utility in this tree as well, like the self-healing. I guess the slow is kind of whatever, but the self-healing is pretty nice. I have to say, looking through this tree, it seems incredibly damage oriented. I'm really impressed by it, and yeah, I really can't wait to get my hands on this and actually play around with it, because it seems extremely, extremely fun and really thematically consistent with the name of the spec, Dark Ranger. This absolutely seems like it's fitting the bill of what they're going for and kind of hitting everything that I've always wanted from a shadow hunter, like literally since I first started playing a hunter all the way back in the Burning Crusade. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.